nito ang paglago ng ekonomiya ng rehiyon sa pamamagitan ng paggawa ng iba't ibang mga economic plans, pagsusuri at pag-endorse iba't ibang ahensya at SUC, at pag-monitor sa mga proyekto ng gobyerno gaya ng Tide Embankment Project at ng bagong EVRMC. Maliban dito, sa 20 taon ng RDC-8, ang konseho ay naging bahagi sa pagpanukala at pag-endorso ng mga malalaking proyekto sa rehiyon kabilang na ang Summer Island Natural Park, Tacloban North Water Supply Project, Agas-Agas Bridge at marami pang iba. Ang RDC ay nilikha upang pagtibayin ang otonomiya ng mga rehiyon para sa mabilis at patas na pag-unlad ng ekonomiya. Sa rehiyon, ang RDC-8 ay binubuo ng lahat ng provincial governors, city mayors, mayors of capital towns at LMP chapter presidents. Kasapi rin ang iba't ibang regional agencies, private sector representatives at mga special non-voting members na pinili ng konseho upang ibahagi ang kani-kanilang mga natatanging kaalaman at expertise sa iba't ibang sektor sa RDC-8. Ang konseho ay may 4 na sectoral committees na itinalaga upang pag-usapan, i-coordinate at itaas kung kinakailangan ang mahahalagang isyong sektoral sa RDC-8. Sa likod ng konseho ay ang NEDA-8 na nagsisilbing sekretariat nito. Bilang sekretariat, ang NEDA ay responsable sa araw-araw na pamamalakad ng RDC-8 kasama na ang paggawa ng resolutions, pagbigay ng logistical at administrative assistance sa konseho, pag-organisa ng mga meeting at iba pa. Ngayon, alam nyo na, kahit na di nyo naririnig ang pangalang RDC araw-araw, laging tandaan na nandirito kami nagsisilbi sa mga mamamayan ng rehiyon upang siguruhing makakamit natin ang matatag, maginhawa at panatag na buhay para sa lahat.
As we envision a 2040 where Filipinos enjoy a matatag, maginhawa at panatag na buhay, the Eastern Visayas Regional Development Plan, anchored on the Duterte administration's 0 to 10 point socioeconomic plan and guided by the Philippine Development Plan 2017 to 2022, was formulated to create the foundations for inclusive growth, a high-trust society, and a globally competitive knowledge economy in the region. To do that, Eastern Visayas will pursue the twin regional goals of robust and sustained economic growth and reduce poverty in all dimensions through the three key priority thrusts: resilient, competitive, and sustainable agriculture, fishery, and forestry sector, expanded and diversified manufacturing subsector, and vibrant tourism subsector. The development trajectory that Eastern Visayas will follow for the remaining half of the plan will ultimately determine whether we will achieve the country's long-term vision, the year 2040. Our goal is for inclusive growth in the region that will benefit everyone, especially the poor. Midway through the RDP implementation, the region made significant strides in accomplishing its targets in the EVRDP. Between 2015 and 2018, the region posted consecutive economic growth, and in every year except 2017, met its planned targets. On poverty reduction, poverty incidence among population was substantially reduced from 41.3% in 2015 to 30.7% in 2018, a 10.6 percentage point decline. This was due to the substantial decrease in poverty incidence among all provinces, while missing the 28.78% planned target by 2.08 percentage points. This latest data shows that the region was on track to bring down poverty to just 22.26% in 2022. However, issues and challenges remain. Political concerns, natural disasters, and even a once-in-a-century global pandemic threaten much of our progress up to this point. With these in mind, NEDA embarked on an ambitious updating process where it meticulously prepared strategies and solutions to address any issues and challenges in the remaining years of plan implementation. At the same time, we took stock of our gains and progress and revisited the goals, targets, strategies, and programs and projects in the RDP to ensure that they are still appropriate in light of recent developments. For the remaining
All right. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our third episode of our Startup Thursdays 2021 webinar series. We are already on our third episode, and before we begin, maybe we want to check now who are our participants joining us today. So you may want to comment in our chat panel or in our comment section where you are right now. Who are our participants today? All right, just some technical issues. So we have participants coming from Kidapawan City, and we also have from Pasig City. So let me first fix my camera. All right, so while my camera is being fixed, everyone, let me check who are our attendees for this afternoon. In YouTube, we already have participants from Kidapawan City, from Pasig City. We also have from Calbayog City. We also have from San Francisco. Is this in California? We also have from Talisay City and Argao, from Cebu, no? From Cebu province. Coming from our participants in YouTube, while on Facebook Live, we also have participants from Shaton, I believe that is in Negros Oriental. So we also have from Calbayog, we also have from Barili, Cebu, from Malolos, Bulacan, then we also have from Zamboanguita, and we have from Argao. All right, we also have from Camarines Sur, from Partido State University, from Camarines Sur. But regardless of your location, everyone, you can share this to your friends, to your colleagues, no? Although this is hosted by DICT Visayas Cluster 2, this is open to everyone regardless of your location. May you be may you come from Luzon, Visayas, Mindanao, or may you be a participant from overseas, no? You are very much welcome here. So you can share this. We still have time before we officially begin our webinar this afternoon. Please help us share our link to your friends, to your relatives, to your colleagues, no? While I fix the issue in my camera, please keep your comments, your chats coming in, no? So here are some reminders now. Here are some of our webinar house rules so that we have a smooth flow of our webinar this afternoon. So please, you may drop your questions at the live chat panel. So they may be picked and be answered during the live discussion, or they may be answered during the Q&A portion at the end of our speaker's presentation. Then maybe also remind you that to check, no, that you have you really have participated and you are really watching our webinar this afternoon. We have what we call as the code of the day, or COTD. It will be flashed. Our code will be flashed anytime during the webinar. So this COTD, this code must be entered in the evaluation form for you to be able to submit it. So there is a part there in our evaluation form wherein you have to input our code of the day. So if you do not input the correct COTD, then you will not be able to submit our evaluation form. So you have to really participate and you have to watch our webinar all throughout. It may be flashed anytime. It may be during the presentation of our speaker. It may be at the end, no? So who knows when it will be flashed. So you must really see to it that you are watching our webinar this afternoon. All right. Now, the link to the evaluation form will be given at the end of the webinar. So, no evaluation form, of course. There will be no digital certificate because, of course, we will base our preparation for...
Ba ang RDC 8? Ang Regional Development Council o RDC ay ang highest policy...
No evaluation form, then no digital certificate. So, the form will be only...
Ano nga ba ang RDC 8? Ang Regional Development Council o RDC ay ang highest policy coordinating body sa rehiyon.
Form link at 3:30, so it must be accomplished and must be submitted at 4 p.m. No, since there will only be 30 minutes that will be given. All right. Digital certificates will be given within 1 week, no? After this webinar, so after 7 days, you can follow us up if you still have not received our email on how you will claim your certificate. So if in case, no, after 1 week, you still have not received an email for your certificate for this webinar, then you can always follow us up in our official Facebook page. That's at DICT FOOBC2. So, one last thing, you can enjoy the webinar, no? We have a very eager speaker for this afternoon, and we will learn a lot from him, especially for those who are starting their startups, no, or those who have plans in putting up or establishing a startup. We will really have some pieces of advice that we will learn from the expert, from someone who really has started a startup, no, or who is actually starting a startup. So let me check my camera once again. I think it is still starting, but nevertheless, we have a special treat for our early birds, no? For those who came in early today, we are already sharing to you our evaluation form link, no? That is already up and running. You can answer in advance, no? Those questions that can be answered already in advance. But always remember that we still have to flash and display our code of the day. So you still have to watch and you have to stream, no? And check on that code of the day, or else you will not be able to submit our evaluation form this afternoon. All right, so for those mga suki na watchers, no, or streamers for our past 2 episodes of our Startup Thursdays webinars, we have already sent via email the instructions on how you will, or how you can actually download your certificate. All right, so if in case you did not receive an email, it might be because you have submitted a wrong email address, no? Or an incorrect email address. That is why you haven't received our email that we had earlier this week, no? Or also, it might be in the spam folder, so you might want to check your spam. But nevertheless, if you haven't received any email, here are the links, no? On how you can download your certificates for our Startup Thursdays. Number 1, last June 3, and our Startup Thursdays number 2, last June 10, last week. So you may be able to download your certificates actually. All right. So just checking our participants. We also have participants from Mandaluyong City. So in Metro Manila. We have from San Francisco, not California, but Mabalacat, Pampanga. Then we also have from Baguio City, no? And we also have from Biliran, no? Our watchers or our viewers from YouTube, while from in Facebook Live, let me check. So we have from Tuburan Campus, no? I think this is somewhere in Mindanao. So we also have from Shaton. So let us know who are our fellow participants for this afternoon through your comments in our chat panel or comment section so that we know, no? We know who are our participants for this afternoon. All right. So here is our demographics, no, for our expected participants for this afternoon. We have participants from. We have students as participants, no. The majority of our participants for this afternoon are students, making up 23% of our attendees. Then followed by our teachers, no, at 12%. Of course, we appreciate the presence of our teachers joining us this afternoon, as this can help, no? The learnings that we'll have this afternoon may be shared to your students once you go back to your classes, no? Some learnings, some pieces of advice from a startup founder this afternoon. Then we also have participants who are online freelancers. We also have unemployed participants, maybe perhaps not those who were displaced because of the pandemic, and you might want to learn how to establish a startup. Then this webinar is really for you. So we also have participants who were affected by COVID-19. We also have PWDs. We have indigenous persons. We also have single parents, no, joining us this afternoon. Now, majority of our participants range from 28 to 35 years old, while our youngest participant for this afternoon is at 19. Maybe we have other younger participants. Now, let us know also in our chat panel or comment section. While our eldest is at 65 years old. But regardless, age is just a number, no? Regardless of your age, may you be young or older, you are welcome in our session this afternoon, no? Especially if you want to establish a startup or put up a startup, age is just a number. No, you are very much welcome here. So our ratio for males to females, most of our attendees for this afternoon are actually males, no? At 60%, close to 60%, while our female participants are 40%. So this is quite a surprise, no, for us from the organizers, because usually, recently from our webinars, it is actually females who dominate our fraction of attendees, no? But for this time, the males dominate our webinar this afternoon. So our major island groups are well represented. We have registrants coming from Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao, and I believe we also have some participants from overseas coming in. We have participants from India and the Middle East, no? So just a location check. We also have participants from Kidapawan City, no, who just commented his location in our YouTube Live. Then in Facebook Live, we have from Zamboanguita, and we also have a student from Argao. All right, welcome everyone to our webinar this afternoon. So let me just reiterate, no, and let me emphasize our webinar house rules for this afternoon. For those who missed this part earlier, you may drop your questions at the live chat panel. They may be picked and they may be answered during the live discussion, depending on the flow, no, of our webinar this afternoon. Although we have reserved a Q&A part or a Q&A portion later after or at the end of the presentation of our esteemed speaker for this afternoon. So to ensure participation, a code of the day will be flashed anytime during the webinar. So this COTD must be entered in the evaluation form for you to be able to submit it. So there is a part there is a field in our evaluation form wherein you have to enter the COTD. So you won't be able to submit the form not unless the correct COTD is input. All right. So for you to know the COTD, you must watch and you must stream and participate now in our webinar so that you can capture our COTD that is needed in our evaluation form. So the evaluation form will be given at the end of the webinar. Please always be reminded that if you have not submitted in the evaluation form, then you won't be able to receive a digital certificate. So also please make sure that you have also input the correct email address, no? Because every time we send out our email informing our successful participants of their certificates, we receive bounced back emails, no? Saying that it is an incorrect email address. So please, haste makes waste, no? So always make sure that your email address and your name are correct, the information are correct, so that there is no problem as regards your certificates that you'll be receiving after this webinar. So please give us 1 week. Please allow us to prepare your certificates within a week. So after 7 days, so next week, by Friday next week, if you still have not received any email coming from us, then you can always send us a message through our Facebook page. That's at DICT FOO VC2. All right. So, okay. For our early birds, we are treating you with one special treat instead of giving this at the end. You can already capture our evaluation form link. You can already take a screen cap of this or take note of this. No, you can jot this down, or you can open this immediately in your browser, then answer the evaluation later, no? But remember again that we still have a COTD or code of the day that you have to include in the evaluation form. So for you to get such code of the day, always participate and watch, no? Because our COTD may be flashed at any given any time, no? During the webinar proper. All right. So once again, for those who joined us during our Startup Thursdays number 1 and number 2 episode last June 3 and June 10, we actually have already sent out the emails. But if in case you haven't received any email, it might be the email that might be on your spam folder, or you just gave us the incorrect email address, no? So you may download them through these links, no? The first one for our webinar last June 3, while the second one, of course, is for our webinar last June 10. All right, so I think we can start our webinar proper this afternoon through a recorded video of our OIC office of the Regional Director in the DICT Visayas Cluster 2. So let's hear it from our OIC Regional Director, Mr. Frederick Amores, for his opening message.
I hope you're all safe and I wish you well. As we face this global pandemic that has affected our normal lives, we are now in the new normal. Our usual life may not be the same as it has been before, and it may take a while for us to return to normal. But this does not mean that we will stop learning. DICT Visit2 is proud to give you another webinar offering that will help you gain additional knowledge and learn new things outside of the four walls of the classroom. Everyone is welcome here. May you be a student, an OFW, an employee affected by the current situation, in all walks of life. Wherever you may be and whatever is the reason that brought you here to listen, you are very much welcome. I wish that at the end of today's discussion, you will impart knowledge and contribute to society in your community, especially that we are in a digitally disrupted world. If the recent SEA Games says we win as one in fighting COVID-19 tells us to heal as one, here in a webinar, let us learn as one. Thank you very much for participating today, and on behalf of DICT Visit2, I welcome you all to this webinar. Once again, good afternoon.
All right, I think we had a little bit of technical glitch, no? But I hope you still were able to grasp that, no? A message coming from our director, welcoming us and welcoming you, actually, our participants, for this afternoon's webinar session. All right, so without further ado, I know you're all excited, no, for our webinar this afternoon. Another afternoon full of information, no, full of tips and pieces of advice coming from our speaker. So we only have one speaker for this afternoon, no. So we have Mr. Alexander J. C. Wassel. He is a third-year entrepreneurship student from Silliman University in Dumaguete City. So may kababayan, no? So he hails from Hunog, Dumaguete City, and he wants to gain more knowledge and experience, no? So he is a co-founder of Double Up, and they are actually incubatees. Both Greg and AJ are incubatees, and their startup is an incubatee at Silliman University Technology and Business Incubation, or Synergy. Right? So without further ado, please help me welcome with your virtual round of applause our speaker for this afternoon, Mr. Alexander J. C. Wassel. So, Mr. AJ, take it away.
Okay, thank you, Sir Joshua. Good afternoon, guys. I am, again, Alexander J. C. Wassel. My colleague, Greg, could not be here today because of an emergency. So anyway, let's just get started then. Let me share my screen. Okay. I hope you all can see that. Okay. All right. So our talk today is called "Gobble Up Fruits of Stubbornness." I'll just be talking about a little backstory of me and Greg, how we started to become, how we ended up where we are now, actually. So first of all, on the agenda, I'll be introducing myself and then talk a little bit about how me and Greg got into the TBI department and became incubatees all the way up until where we are now. So first, how we ended up as entrepreneur students, as a little background. Greg became an entrepreneur student because he wanted to have his own hotel. He always dreamed of having his own hotel, and he was always a big risk taker. And that's what he told me to tell you guys. So therefore, he chose entrepreneurship. I chose entrepreneurship because Dad was always into reading books like Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki, if I remember that's his name right, and stuff like that. So I decided, why not give it a try? I've always been a little bit interested in it anyway. Next slide. So yeah, after a while, me and Greg heard this term called social entrepreneurship, or also a social entrepreneur, and we didn't just want we did want to make money, but we also wanted to help people while we're doing it. And when we heard this term, we we knew that was what we wanted to be. So, and in our coming up with this idea, we also did think of becoming social entrepreneurs. So first 2 years of college and as an entrepreneur student, we were our first batch of K to 12. Going back a little bit, we were the first batch of K to 12, and we knew Suleiman was still kind of getting used to the whole idea and tweaking a few things. And the entrepreneurship, what do you call it, course was one of the ones that got really modified from what it used to be. Yeah, we had a few what do you call this? We did have a few complaints about it. One, it was great. We were learning really good business terms and ethics and computations, which we did end up using for this app in the planning stage of this app. But we felt like there was a lack of something more that was needed in the new entrepreneurship curriculum, which I'll go on to discuss later on. But in these first 2 years, like I said, we learned a lot. We gained a lot of friends, knowledge. It was a good brain exercise. All the tests we did, all the scenarios of being what it would be like to be an entrepreneur, coming up with a plan, being a leader at the same time, also being a craftsman of multiple traits and stuff like that. In these 2 years as well, we became volunteers for the Entrepreneurship Society of Suleiman. We had the president. I became acting vice president, internal, if I can remember right, and Greg was our PRO, if I can remember right as well. There was also some complaints about this as well. We thought, I don't know if anybody else here can relate, but we thought as entrepreneurs, we were lucky, as entrepreneur students, we were lucky to be in an environment like Suleiman, where you could walk to the engineering department and say, I've got an idea, can you help me? or the chemistry department and walk into there and ask if can they help me, or all these courses that had all these traits that we would have to take some time to learn. But then if we could come up with an idea after our own research, we could go to them, the experts, and ask them to help us. And not only that, we also thought the best part, one of the best things about being entrepreneurs is meeting new people, learning from them. And we thought these activities that we had some lectures from companies like Subida. This company was where we first heard the term social entrepreneur. If some of you don't know, Subida is a company that makes, or actually it takes local craftsmen, helps them hone their skills, and then sells their products direct to from lower range customers to high range customers. And that was, we thought it was really good what he did. He was able to help local people. He gave them the tools, the training, and then he also gave them the market at the same time. So, but anyway, yeah, we had talks like that, but it was missing a vital thing, which we thought was getting people who had ideas that could connect to talk more. We didn't really talk a lot about that. We more or less did talks, and they were informative, but it's like that saying where that tells me that if you're a carpenter, you've got a bricklayer, an architect as a friend. All these are your friends, and let's say you might have maybe an accountant. If you have these type of friends, you practically have a company, and that's what we thought was needed in the whole entrepreneurs, the Yes Society. We wanted more activities like that, and we did pitch it. We did pitch it to a president, but she took it. She listened, but she still wanted to do things her way, and I understand it was difficult for her at the time. But yeah, we really thought there could have been a much better environment for entrepreneurs to get together and learn and share ideas, and could have been they could have had a chance to partner up with each other. But yeah, hopefully, I'm still hoping for that to happen one day. But we'll see. Well, me and Greg might still push it on our last year anyway of college, and see how it goes, because we're still in the Yes organization. And yeah, I hope other people would also see that as well, where it's a school, it's practically the best resource for someone in an entrepreneurship as an entrepreneur student, or even as engineering students or chemistry students, or any other course that might have an idea that they think would help the world in any sort of way. The school is one of the best environments where you can make friends, contacts, and start this idea and make it a real thing. Yeah, so that was a bit of a story there. Observations on the entrepreneur students. This was rather saddening for us, because we noticed a lot of the entrepreneur students, let's just say they were a bit well off, and they didn't really see what they had, the resources they had. They had parents who could afford the school, and probably a bit more. They had their first investors technically as their parents, and it was a bit sad because none of them seemed to see that. None of them bothered to realize that. They were more focused on the height of the school and stuff like that. And it was such a waste, because they were in a really good potential environment, and it just wasn't it wasn't shown to them. and they weren't encouraged in that way either. That was also another problem. They weren't encouraged to think, to realize that either. So that was a shame as well. So anyway, so we go through 2 years, and in those 2 years, me and my partner Greg, we plan, we go to restaurants. I'll get into that. What couple of this in a bit. But we go to business owners that could be interested in our idea. We pitch to our teachers, and we did all the market research as we could, and we just worked on it for 2 years straight. But this is Start Gobble Up. As a little context, since we haven't actually, we're still in the development stage, we don't really want to share too much of it, but Gobble Up is aiming to combine food services with marketing services. So basically, we wanted restaurants to get more attention online in order for, especially startup restaurants as well. But we knew that marketing and advertising is a really good, is a must for all restaurants. It really is, and it can get them more attention if they had more online advertising, especially now because of the COVID coming in. Fun fact, by the way, COVID, we were planning all this, and the timing was a little bit off, but it was almost perfect where COVID hits. And if we were able to get this idea up and running a little bit earlier, we could have had a really good start. But yeah, it's not all lost. But yeah, anyway, so going back, so Gobble Up started actually as a project for school, as we said. In Siliman, there's the TBI department, and we had the subject that we had to be in order for us to graduate, and we didn't realize that this was it. This was the subject where you had to come up with an idea and make a business plan out of it and do your research and then actually get it started. But me and Greg partnered up, of course. We had a few ideas, some more silly than others. I'll be honest. We went to teachers and checked them out if any of the ideas we had at first were okay, and some were a bit ridiculous. But in the end, we came up with this, and this idea was Greg came up with this idea, and this idea really hit me. I really thought it was such a good idea. It covered a niche that I don't think anyone realized at the time. It was very small niche, but it was something that I think would have been valuable to restaurants. So I said, Greg, you got a really good idea here, and I think it will work. And he thought the same. So we said, okay, this is it. We're gonna use this. This is our project for the next 4 years. So like I said, for the first 2 years, we get started. We did the market research. We planned. We pitched to Mom, our teacher. Sorry, this is several examples. So we pitched to Mom several times. We got rejected because she thought it was silly, but we still saw the idea still coming through. And in the end, she did see the light. She did realize that this was an idea that wasn't a mistake or overthinking or lack of thinking. And she says, okay, you guys continue with it. So we did, and it came time to pitch to Mom for our finals. And I think this was second year, if I can remember right. Oh no, yeah, it was second year. It was second year we pitched to Mom. We had 10 groups in our class. Some of the groups did really well. Some of the groups, they had decent ideas, but were already done in certain ways. And there was one group, which is also our friends. They pitched, and it was making paper out of, I think it was fruit peelings, something like that. And for some reason, well, actually they won, because the priority of the time, the theme at the time for the TBI department was environmental sustainability and stuff like that. So yeah, they had a good idea for that, but then me and Greg also thought, but I was already that later on that was already being made and mass produced, and so instead, even though they did win the 100K grant, uh, they didn't proceed because of that. So which was kind of sad, but me and Greg carried on anyway. We kept on going because we knew this may not be helping the whole environment, but we knew this was a niche for local businesses and businesses throughout the Philippines. So yeah, we were the last group to continue. Actually, by the way, on this project, all the other groups they switched to They switched to the what do you call it? Baking. I think it was baking category of the subject. And me and Greg stayed on it. And stayed on the technology side of the technology category of the subject. So yeah, we learned a lesson. We made sure we learned how to pitch. We learned how to do our market research. We learned that you would get rejected a lot of times as we did, and it's just a thing. It's nothing to be sad about. It's nothing to complain about. It's something you just sort of accept and move on. So, sometimes actually it's really good being rejected. It gets you fired up, especially when it's an idea that you really believe in and you just know you can't stop afterwards. You know it's going to be a thing, and despite being rejected, you kind of just want to keep going on. Yeah, our idea wasn't a priority. So we continued. The idea became more of a life thing for us. It became more personal than just a school thing for us. We knew that we wanted to make this a thing and get it running, not just for the last year of our college, but for the rest of for as much as we could after college, or for the rest of our lives. We wanted this thing to take off. Oh yeah, so yeah, the best part was definitely the market research. Market research, we got to meet restaurant owners, we got to pitch to them our ideas, explain what we learned and how it could help them, and a lot of them gave us really good insight. A lot of them did like the idea. Actually, I think, if I can remember right, all liked the idea. They were begging for us to get this going, and amongst all the other competitors, they really wanted us to hopefully start. They were cheering for us. Yeah, it was great. It was great making business people who are in the same line as us, as being entrepreneurship students, restaurant owners. They really we could really bond with them at the same time. We could we related to them because of the lessons we learned, and they gave us really good advice for as being business owners. And yeah, that was one of the best parts. Market research solely for learning all those lessons from all these business owners. So where are we now? Right now, Gobble Up is still in development stage. We had to form a team. We have 2 back-end programmers. We have 1 front-end programmer / graphics design person, and we also have a guy who helps us in research as well, technical research mostly, but yeah, research. And then there's me and Greg. We handle the business side, the finances, we also do research ourselves, of course, and also management. We did have a bigger team in the past, but we did have to leave some of them go. It wasn't anything personal. It was just that we noticed that uh, they didn't give off the same energy as we did, and we knew that was just gonna drag us down. It's just a thing you're gonna have to get used to. It's nothing. It's hard. It is really hard at first. I don't know if some of you have tried this, but yeah, it's one of the needs if you want an idea to get going. And it's nothing. We're still friends with them. There's no bad blood. We still hang out with them. It's just we wanted pushers rather than draggers instead. But that's one lesson I learned. Me and Greg learned from this that there will be times where you had to let people go for the sake of development, the idea, the launch. That's definitely one of the difficult challenges we had, was to let someone that we work with for a bit, and then we had to let them go. But now the app, our biggest obstacle right now is getting more funding, because our guys, we had a what do you call this? We had a schedule when we wanted it to be launched, and it turns out our manpower isn't enough. But looking for other people to get help get this started is also very difficult, because they don't have the time. Some of them have jobs already. Some of them are looking for pay rather than seeing the idea and wanted it to be. All of them think the idea was good, but the professionals were worried about the cash. The money, the funding we have now, they're worried that they say that we need more, and we did know that from the beginning. We were just hoping that maybe they could help us in some way. So yeah, one of the lessons we did learn there was definitely make friends, make as much friends as you can, because that way you wouldn't have to worry about finances, because you and your friends, that's a company in itself already. Also, another thing is you've got to have more cash. Definitely, you have to have financial backing from somewhere, maybe your family, your friends. If you're lucky, you could get an angel investor, but still, investors need something to see, especially numbers, before they even let you go anywhere near any cash. So yeah, that's one big advice. Make sure you, before going to investors, definitely go. We were looking into bank loans, but we found out banks don't like startups any more than investors that doesn't have any numbers shown. So yeah, the banks, they were a no-go. So right now we're looking for people to help us get this started faster, because we couldn't wait for the 2 years that we found out it would take us. We found out that it would take us 2 more years to finish everything. So we doubled down. We said, okay, we're going to focus on making the most basic part of the app first, and then updating it as we go. Meanwhile, we'll rack up more people to use, more users, more restaurants as well, and then go to the investors. But yeah, this is a really challenging bit. This is something we haven't come across yet. but we're still working on it. That's why this talk is called Fruits of Stubbornness, because me and Greg can't see us just waking up one day and not even thinking about the app, not thinking ahead, not thinking about any problems regarding this app. We've worked too hard for it. We've worked nearly every day for the last 2 years. We went out there. We met people. We got out of our comfort zones, and we learned so much from it. But still, failure is not failure. Failure is still success, in that you still learn stuff. That, I know that's cliche, but that's actually really true, and we've had learned that in this journey. But yeah, this is one thing that definitely a lot of people will come across, I guess, when it comes to, because we heard other stories as well from startups, and this is definitely a big obstacle. So in summary, definitely make friends, see the environment that you're in, realize what environment you've got, how lucky you are, especially that I'm guessing most of the people my age here have actually are in college. So yeah, realize that being in that college, being in the environment you're in, you're lucky. You're very, very lucky that you've got that environment. Then you can meet people, learn things already. And then what next is get out of your circle, get out of it, your barriers. You have to let them go. Me and Greg were always nervous. We never did like talking to people. I mean, we did. I mean, we were shy. We were always very shy. But yeah, we learned how to be more confident, talk to people. We learned how to lead. That's because we got out of our shell. Because we pushed ourselves, and pushing yourself a lot is a really good. It's a really good lesson we learned. Sometimes you can't just sit down and relax. You really got to push yourself. Also, learn what it takes to get the job done. Whether it be making sacrifices, letting some people go, learning how to encourage people in being a leader. You really got to push yourself. If you're really not just yourself, but if you got a team like this, you've got to know what's right for the idea, what's right for the company, or whatever you're starting. Because it's not just about building things. Sometimes it's about letting things go. And yeah, that was one big lesson I learned. Putting your foot down and saying, okay, we gotta stop this because it's not working for the sake of the app. In this case, the app. And just keep on going. I guess yeah, that's what I learned. Keep on going, and keep your head up. And that's it. That's all I have to say. Thank you. So Josh?
All right. Can you hear me, AJ?
Yep.
All right. So that was a bucket full of information, no? And some inspiration. I was actually going through our comments in Facebook Live, and I've noticed that we have a lot of students just like you who are actually watching, and I'm really pretty sure that you have actually inspired them, no? And you have at least you have given them pieces of advice, especially if they have ideas. Now we actually have some questions here, some personal questions, so I hope you are open in answering them.
Okay.
All right. So for our other viewers, this is already our Q&A part. You can actually, if you have some questions for our speaker, you may actually comment them in our chat panel or in our comment section. No? so that we can recognize. And this is actually a good opportunity to ask our speaker for this afternoon. So as I was going over the questions that were raised, AJ, we have here a question, some interesting question from Karen Joy in Facebook Live.
Okay.
So, was it troublesome being a young entrepreneur while being a student? Or was it a struggle to be students, you and Greg, then establishing a startup? Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. Well, yes and no. We managed to balance our time. Anyway, we still passed our tests. We still got high marks. And at the same time, we also managed our time to where when we needed to go out, do our market research, plan for the app. Plus our subject from the TBI department also gave us a lot of free time for us to do what we had to do to help start the app. But yeah, I don't think we ever felt like it was hard. That hard anyway. There were times where we did want to focus more on the app rather than the school, to be honest. But yeah, it wasn't as challenging for us, I guess, as I imagined it to be.
All right. So, so there's one interesting question here, some personal question. So, how do you see yourself and your partner Greg and the entirety of Gobble Up after graduation? So I think you still have 1 year, right?
Yeah.
To finish studies, yeah. So how do you see yourself after graduation and Gobble Up, of course?
Okay. Definitely, me and Greg, we're still gonna stay partners. We're so compatible. If he comes with an idea, I'll be the one to check it. I'll do some thinking. I'll basically be I'll balance his optimism in a way, just in case, because sometimes he does get overly excited, and sometimes I do, and he does that for me. We just balance each other out. After graduation, yes, Gobble Up will definitely take off. We imagined Gobble Up to be, of course, we were gonna take the whole Dumaguete first. I mean, we wanted to spread out throughout the whole Dumaguete, and then hopefully spread through Visayas.
Yeah,
and then
reach out to more locations.
Yeah, branch out to more locations, and also we actually also imagined us branching out to different forms of businesses out of Gobble Up, like that would also cater to our dream of becoming social entrepreneurship students. We wanted, we were also thinking of probably opening a restaurant and having our own farms, so therefore we'll make more jobs. And also on the other side, maybe opening an advertising firm, branching out from the app, which is the two components of the app mostly. And yeah. So we did plan for certain things in a few years ahead. Yeah.
And with that kind of mindset, no, you and Greg, I believe that you will soar high. That your goals would not be impossible, no. And we know of a lot of startups who started very small, but look at them now. They have really ventured into different kinds of business, no?
Yeah.
So I believe with that kind of mindset, AJ, you and Greg will really soar, and you will really reach that goal of yours. And maybe someday become a unicorn for the Philippines. There's still not yet a unicorn coming from the Philippines, although there is one who is almost there. Mint, no, of GCash, they're almost there.
Okay.
But still, it's not official. But who knows, no?
Yeah.
Gobble Up will be there. Will be our unicorn. So we are after you. We will watch for your success. No?
Yeah.
Now we still have questions. AJ, I hope you're still okay for questions.
Yeah.
All right. So here's one. So it seems that you are taking up a course that is related to startups. So that's entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship. So do students coming from other fields still have chances to put up a startup?
Absolutely, yeah. We had I joined another startup event. I think I was first year college, and the winners of that event were actually engineering students with an idea. And I think if I can remember right, I think it was a drainage system that helped create energy or electricity. Basically, I think I'm not no expert. Maybe the engineering students can tell what they did, but it was more of like basically what do you call it? There's a wheel and the water goes through it, and that creates energy. So yeah, like I said, when I said earlier, anybody, that's what's the beauty of school. If you're an engineering student, you got an idea, you can make it with your team. You can make it into a physical thing. But let's say you don't have much experience when it comes to the business side or accountancy, then you just walk over to your accountancy department and then you ask around, you make a friend, and there you go. You have your the missing piece. That's what we saw. That's how me and Greg saw college. It's a pool of assets that you can take. You just have to realize that. And sometimes yeah, you definitely have to be the one to go out there. But me and Greg imagined an environment where they got you all together like that. So relax and talk to each other, and who knows the amount of ideas schools can generate. I mean, America and England are doing that already, but in the Philippines, it's still a big possibility, and I hope that becomes more of a thing, becomes more popular in schools. That branching out to each other and talking to each other and coming up with ideas and making them, forming your own little team, and that might become a company one day. And you can make some money off it as well, and hopefully help other people by generating more jobs.
Yes, I would agree, AJ. No, I believe startups know no educational background. If I could remember it correctly, our first speaker for our Startup Thursdays was MedTech. Professor. Then last week, he is related to biotechnology something. So it's not related to Entrep, it's not related to information technology, but they were able to put up a startup. I also know of some startup founders who are nurses, medical, coming from the medical field. So I would agree that startups know no educational background.
Yeah. In fact, in our field, we're encouraged to learn more other courses, get into science, get into engineering, or chemistry or something else. Because being in the entrepreneur course and just learning about tactics in marketing or sales isn't enough. You have to have an idea. In order to have that idea, you need to be good at something else. So that's another thing that we felt was lacking. That's why we wanted that whole thing where you learn, you get interested in something, you learn about it. Hope maybe there would be a subject that would help you, encourage you to do that more than what's already available. But yeah, you learn something, you get into something that's not part of your course in Entrep, and then you can then go to other people, make friends. Let's say medtech related, medical related thing that you're interested in, and then go to your medtech department and talk about it and see if it's a good idea. Show them your research and stuff like that. All it takes is an idea. It doesn't take a course really. It just takes a lot of learning and research.
Yeah, so we have here some comment from Reynold in Facebook Live. No, he said that as a business administration graduate, I can feel his struggles, your struggles, AJ, starting from the proposals to the implementation of the project and the stress and the time that you need to dedicate. So is that true? Can you relate?
Yeah, that's a lot. The planning, the talking to people, telling you that
convincing them
the work convincing as well. Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. At first, it made me feel. I don't know about Greg, but I think at first it made me feel small. It made me feel small at first, but then I just do a lot of self thinking about me and then the app, and then there was no way I could convince myself that whoever told me that it wasn't gonna work, it wasn't that he was right. So I knew I had a solid idea, and that made me more confident. And that's one big thing that helped push me to all of that, the proposals, the planning, the pitching, talking to other people. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So speak of struggles, we have here a question in YouTube Live from Spoiler Gaming. Spoiler.
Okay.
So his question is: did you and Greg encounter toxic people while going through your journey as entrep students? I think you have shared to us earlier, but
Yeah. One of our teammates, he was one of the guys we had. He was a good guy. He's still our friend, but he lowballed it a lot. He wasn't performing as much as he did early on. He was doing really well early on. He did a lot for the team and for the idea and the app and the planning. But then when it came time to the development stage, he really lowballed it, and we couldn't take it no more. We knew it wasn't any good for the group. It wasn't good for development. So we did give him a chance. We did give him a chance to step it up a bit, and yet sadly he failed. So we told him, we're gonna have to let you go because of the reasons I just said. And he took it all right. We're still friends. He wasn't. There was no bad blood, and he understood. And I think that was a lesson learned for him as well. And in terms of toxic people, you're gonna come across some people that just dismisses you outright, doesn't really want to listen to you or anything like that. And it shouldn't be a downer for you. It should just be, maybe you can laugh about it. Maybe you can imagine that person's face when you're actually starting. You know, I mean, it's more of a driver than it should be a downer. And it's really how you take that personally. And lucky enough, me and Greg took it really well. Yeah.
All right. Yes, and I think we couldn't always please everybody, right? So
No.
we will find persons who will really support us.
Yeah.
All right, I agree. Now let's go back to being students into the academics because we have some questions here. I think we have most of our questions coming from our students now because they can relate. So wasn't it hard to be studying and at the same time putting up a startup? Aren't studies left out while turning your ideas into reality?
Yeah, honestly, yes. There were some times where we didn't study and we just took the test, but we did listen in class, so that did some help. I'll be honest, but as much as I'd say, as much as you can, at least try to study a little bit more than we did. Yeah, but yeah, there was a time where the app, until now, the app did become more meaningful to us at the same time. But we were still taking cues from school. We were still taking the lesson. In fact, we used a lot of the lessons. Me and Greg would laugh about it a lot. This is in that subject we learned. We finally used this lesson we learned from this subject or that subject. So yeah, it wasn't like we forgot about school completely. It wasn't a time like that. We did learn, and yeah, I think that's the important bit. You still learn from things. Just because you might not have been studying, if you're listening to school, and you'll take it. You'll take some of the knowledge in anyway.
I'd agree. All right, so what advice can you give teachers, to students who have potentials or who have ideas worth investing? So your advice to your teachers?
Yes, I say. Tell your students. Say that again. What's that? What do you advise your teachers?
What advice can you give teachers to students who have potentials or who have ideas worth investing? So these teachers have students, perhaps like you have your ideas, And perhaps you have anything to say to these teachers, no? Do you advise them to give their support to their students,
course.
just like you, or
Yeah.
go ahead.
As teachers, you're still technically you're still even I still see my teachers as authority figures in certain ways. So if they tell you that they do see your potential, definitely as teachers, you should definitely push them to get this idea going. If it really is a good idea, tell them that, and even help them if you have contacts from other departments that might help the idea, or from somewhere outside the school, help them, because coming from me, even just a number from someone that could help me is can do lots of things. The student, he'll do it himself. He'll call the person, he'll contact them, just give them the contact. Even that, a little small thing as that really goes a long way. And yeah, definitely encourage your students to come up with more ideas, because you're not only just helping the student's life, it could be someone that could help other people's lives, especially in the Philippines. It could really advance the Philippines a whole lot more. Because like in America or in England, these schools are where ideas are formed, not only by students but teachers as well. But that's where that is definitely the sea where you can definitely catch a lot of fish, and definitely help sustain your society, basically. So yeah, teachers can be a really good drive for that, especially helping the students with a really good idea. So yeah, don't as a teacher like that, having some, don't what do you call this? Don't lowball giving your students the push, because that even just a little push from you helps a long way for a student with a good idea.
Yes, I agree. No, even some words of perhaps complimenting or commending their work, I think that would really go a long way.
Yeah.
But I think you have a lot of fans and supporters, AJ, in our Facebook Live with their reactions, heart reactions. But a question related to the question earlier, no? This is actually, they're just related. How is a support system important to students?
How is the support system important to students? Because if students have that support system, like the one me and Greg were thinking about, wherein you have activities not just for that one department, but for the whole school, where you can have other students come together and work like that. And plus, the school has resources of their own. They have contacts of their own, especially now with the TBR department. Mom Forrester, the head of the the TBI department here, she's got loads of contacts as well that can help us. So yeah, that's the system, the support system. It'll. That's why I say students are very lucky to be in the environment they're in, because they have all the resources there. And they were lucky enough to be able to go to school, for their parents to be able to afford school in the first place. So yeah, that I think that's one thing that, in terms of the new curriculum after the K-12 came in, I think that's one thing they're lacking. It's that support system for students to help go. I mean, I'm not talking about babysitting students all the time, but giving them that extra help definitely will go a long way. Even just a little bit, even just, like I said, a contact number, or a small criticism in the idea they have, or a helpful tip. Anything that should be encouraged among them. But really, what would be really helpful is more activities in school, such as the one I said, get students to talk to each other, students with ideas. And I'm sure they're doing it now with the whole startup activity programs, but I've never seen like a school-wide program where students get together, talk about their ideas, get on stage, talk about their ideas, and then have Q&As, and maybe, who knows, they might meet their next big partner for the idea. Somebody else might like it. One student an intro student might have more money because maybe he's already into a sort of business, and here's an idea of another course student, maybe in medtech or nursing, and then he might like the idea and he'll invest in it. Who knows? Or maybe a teacher might invest in something if they really like it. It really is a big bowl of assets for all sorts of ideas to come true. I think almost everything that you need to help start an idea, to help plan an idea, create an idea, is already in schools. It just needs to be brought out more in schools. Yeah.
I'd agree, no? Maybe Yes can host some meetups, yeah?
Yeah.
All right. So we have another question, AJ, and this is quite long, but this is a situational question.
Yeah.
So I hope you can bear. What if a young entrepreneur, which happens to be a student too, no? So just like you, was able to generate income through his startup, and then realizes one day that he can earn without even earning a degree, no? So should he discontinue his studies or should he finish his degree?
Well, okay. I thought I had a feeling I was gonna get a question like this.
Can you relate? Can you relate to this or not yet?
Me and Greg have been thinking a lot about this. If we could get, we always talked about if we could get this started earlier, we would definitely stop school as soon as possible and focus on this. Really, it's up to you. I'm not gonna. This is just advice. It's up to you what you want to do. School, like I said, school isn't necessarily a bad thing. You can still learn a lot from school, but you can still learn a lot of things when you're out of school, especially things that are related to whatever your startup is. If you're starting to generate, and let's say your school is getting in the way of that, and your priority has become that, I would say, yes, stop schooling as much as possible, because the money you could be using for your school could help finance your startup. You could have it as a safety net of whatever. You can use whatever that money for to help your startup. But at the same time, you're still gonna learn, because if you're doing this idea, you're going to want to learn more things related to it. You're not gonna stop learning. You're not gonna stop wanting to get information for it. If you're gonna have trouble, let's say with the finances, you're going to look it up. You're going to ask people. You're going to research. This is also very cliche, but we are lucky to be in a day and age where we have computers, Google, and internet, and we don't have to always go to a library. But libraries are still good. You can still find many information from libraries and stuff like that. But yeah, it still all depends on you. If you still really want to finish, it's not a bad thing. But you're gonna, what I'm trying to say is there might be a time where you're gonna have to choose. Really, it's not a simple of I can continue but I can still make money. It's where your time is divided and you're gonna have to choose one thing or another, and that's really up to you. But if you're earning from this and you see this as a long-term startup, then I would probably lean more towards stop schooling and focus on it more. You're still gonna have your teachers. If you're worried about that, you can make friends with teachers and contact them and ask them for help or ask for advice from anybody. You just have to be the one to start talking. And I think that's one thing. A lot of people that I've met, at least, they have a lot. It's a bit of a struggle for them to start talking. It's first, do not be shy. The fact that you can't talk to people, that's already a big negative for you. Because if you're not talking, then how are you gonna start a conversation to learn more things? You're just gonna stop moving. You know what I mean? So yeah, definitely learn how to talk more. But yes, in terms of the question, to answer that question, yeah, if you're gonna have to choose one thing or another eventually.
So it depends, no? It depends on the situation. It depends also on your parents.
Yeah, on your parents.
Because they're the ones sending it to school. But we have the likes of Mark Zuckerberg or Bill Gates, right, who dropped out, but who are very successful right now.
Yeah.
But I think it's also good to have a fallback, no? Just in
Oh, yeah,
case the startup didn't work, then at least you have your degree with you.
Yeah.
All right, so it depends.
Yeah, it really depends. Yeah.
So are you still game for some questions?
Oh, yeah,
EJ,
yeah.
we still
Okay.
have quite a lot of questions.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
the questions are coming in right now. Maybe they were too shy earlier. So.
Okay, can I say hi to my girlfriend really quick?
Sure, go ahead.
Hi, Jess. I see your comments.
Is that Francesca Shera?
Yeah, that's her. Yeah.
Oh, I am noticing her comments. She's the one that I mean who gives
Yeah.
support
Yeah.
in Facebook Live. All right. So hi, Chess.
Hi, Jess.
You should be a proud girlfriend to AJ.
Yeah, she has been a lot of help. She's helped me see that I can do more things that I've been doing.
Mhm.
So yeah, thanks, baby.
So it's good. No, it's good that it's really good to have a strong support system, not only from teachers but also to your
Yeah.
yes with the people around you. All right.
Yeah.
So we still have questions. What is your advice to students whose ideas were rejected? I think you've been mentioning a lot of rejections earlier.
Yeah. Well, there's different types of. Some of the rejections we got, they were really founded in facts, and we really had to let go of the first idea. I think it was two ideas we had, and we were told that it wasn't going to work because fact 1, fact 2, fact 3, and those are the ones where I said that were a bit silly. This had something to do with engineering. So yeah, there will be some things where you'll be told that you'll be rejected and told it's not going to work. But if it does make sense, you're gonna have to let go and move on to the next thing. You're gonna have to, but you're not stopping. You're moving on to the next idea and the next plan. But if you land on an idea that really does work in your head and you've done the research, you know it's going to work, and someone rejects you and you know it's just because they're not seeing it yet, and then definitely stand your ground, put your foot down, tell them whatever makes you think that it's going to work, and tell them why they're wrong respectfully, and then keep going. Either way, if you get rejected and you know you're going to have to move on to the next, you're not stopping. You're still going. You still keep on making more ideas or continuing with the one you've got because you know it's a solid one and it's a long-term one. So yeah, keep going.
Yeah. All right. So one technical question here: Do startups have to be a team, or can you go solo?
You can go solo, but one person can only do so much. Even as a team, you can. The best thing to do as a startup, I think, is do as much as you can with what you have until you need more. I think that's my best advice. If you've got a team and you know your resources in terms of like money or something that is really limited, then do as much as you can that your team is capable of, or in this case, if you want to go solo, do what you're capable of to the point where you're gonna need to hire more people or find or make a team yourself.
All right,
that's the practical thing. Yeah. Anyway.
All right, I understand now. So I think we are down to our last 3 questions, AJ. Not unless there will still be questions coming in, but we can be down to our last 3 questions now.
All right.
So how is competition in startups? Although we understand though that you're still on the launching stage.
Yeah.
Perhaps so, but how is competition in startups?
Competition is definitely good. I mean, that's what me and Greg see it. We look at we're looking at in terms of competition in the market that related to our app now. But yeah, we really like looking into competitors and seeing what they've got, comparing with what we've got, and seeing what advantages do we have compared to them, or what advantages do they have compared to us, and then we learn from that. Competitively wise, if you're a startup and you're in a competition, it's definitely a good it gets you used to the whole one thing, the rejection. The other thing, it helps start up your brain. You know what I mean? It gets you. It's like being through an event and you're getting used to it. So then it solidifies you more, knowing that you've got competitors and there are other people there. And like what we learned in our course, competitorship is good. I forgot the name of the guy who came up with this philosophy, but he says competition is really good for the market because then everything's always innovating, and that becomes a really good thing for society because then you'll have more and more things come out. But also in terms of character, it strengthens your character. Also your team, strengthens your team. It helps you want to come up with more ideas, to be on top. That fight for on top is what sustains the thought process. Basically, that's what makes people want to come up with more things, more things, and more things to be able to get to your point where others may be, or to win over the market. So yeah, competition shouldn't be seen as something to be feared of. It should be seen as a really good way to improve yourself. If that makes sense.
I would agree, AJ, and I would agree that competition is good because it makes way for improvement, for innovation. So I would definitely agree.
Yeah.
The competition is good. All right. So down to last two questions.
Okay.
What can you advise to startups who are on the verge of giving up? Perhaps they have experienced rejections, a lot of rejections.
Yeah.
And they have not, of course, they have not experienced perhaps overnight success. Who would, diba? Sige, go ahead, AJ.
Very, very typical answer. Just don't give up. Me and Greg have been there a lot of times before now. This is our biggest challenge where we're at now. But yeah, we've been there a lot of times. Besides the rejection, besides having a few bad eggs in terms of team members, in terms of having lack of resources, and stuff like that. We've been there a lot of times where we thought, there was one time I can name where we were really in a bad shape. We were already thinking of it was when we didn't win the 100K grant. It really made us feel like giving up. But I knew this idea was still good because I couldn't think of any other way. I couldn't think of, and I've thought many times of how could this not work. I think that's what helps me. I don't know if it'll help anybody else, but maybe thinking of a way how it can't work. And if you have a solid idea, even if you try to think, there is no way you can convince yourself that it's a bad idea, because no matter what reason you can come up with that how it might be a bad idea, you'll also come up with the reason why it isn't a bad idea. You know what I mean? That's how I work on it with myself anyway. And because of that, we managed to come out from the brink and kept on going. Maybe for some people, you might have to move on from one idea, like I said from before, but it doesn't mean you stop. You always have a plan B. That's one thing we learned from entrepreneurship, from our course. We always have a plan B, whether it be in finances, in ideas, and your management plan, everything. You always have a second. You always have a backup. You never go out with that. You can never accomplish anything without a backup ready anyway.
I think you and Greg have so many experiences. To tell you, it's such a miss that Greg is not here, no. But maybe next time, AJ, maybe we can invite you again with Greg next time.
Yeah.
Right,
definitely, we'll be okay with this.
Yeah, but please send our regards to him, no, from the ACT.
Yeah.
So we are down to our last question. So I hope you're still not tired with the questions that came in. But down to our last one. So when can we say that a startup has already succeeded, or do we have some measures or metrics of success for a startup? Or how about you in your own In your own point of view, no, how do you say that you're already successful for Gobble Up? Go ahead.
I would see it as having goals and then reaching those goals. Because again, I think success is never ending if you do it right. If you do it right, then you'll always be getting to the goals where you want to get. So it's never like, oh, success and then that's it. You're always gonna want to move on to the next thing, the next thing. As we learned in our entrepreneurship course as well, like it really did help us. You're always going to want to improve on whatever idea you started with. You're always gonna want to improve, and therefore you're gonna have to have goals to reach. So then you'll have to keep on going and going and going, and once you reach those goals, I think that's what you call success. But it's never a success and then stop. It's always success, next goal, success, next goal. If you fail, get up off your feet, next goal.
Yes.
Yeah, that's how I see success.
I would agree. No, I think success is subjective to the person. It depends, and yeah, you should always level up. You don't stop when you think you are successful already. You have to level up.
Yeah. Because you don't, you die. You're out. You're out of the competition. You're out of the market. You're out of the game. So yeah.
And we would always know, for the rest of the viewers as well, we will always look after the success of Gobble Up as you go international.
Yeah.
No?
Oh,
That's the good thing about startups, no? Because you're scalable, you can always scale up to other locations. So who knows, diba? Who knows one day?
Yeah. Perfect.
So we will look forward to that.
Thank you.
And we are happy, no, that you have shared to us your journey.
Yeah.
No? From this stage, and then who knows what's next for Gobble Up. Not only in Dumaguete, no? I am actually from Dumaguete, staying here in Cebu, working. So it's nice. It's nice also to hear stories from back home. Yeah. Good stories, good news.
Yeah.
Not the bad news, of course, that we all know of right now.
Yeah.
That the province is actually experiencing, no?
Yeah.
With the rising cases. But there are other good news, just like the good news that you have shared to us. And the good news also in synergy for Silliman TBI. No, we have a lot there. We have a lot of incubatees in Silliman. Yeah. So for the others who are not from Dumaguete, no, or who could not reach out to Silliman for funding or for some assistance, and you have some startup ideas in your mind, you can actually check with other agencies like DOST and DTI, and of course the nearest DICT, no? If there are funds, there are TBIs, actually private TBIs that have been tapped with or tagged with DOST. DOST is the one funding, so you can check to your nearest schools or state universities or other universities. I believe that just like Silliman, they also have some TBI support. Correct? Am I right, AJ?
Yeah. Oh yes. They'll help anyone that comes to them. Like Ma'am Forrester are the head. She's been really good help. She's given us contacts and advice and help get the word out about us. So yeah, they're really big help. Go to your nearest one. If you got an idea, definitely TBI is one of those places you go to for support.
All right.
Yeah.
So AJ, there is just one very good and very interesting question, no, from YouTube. Maybe we can give her a chance. just last question. All right, for you. This is actually from Myra Fe, and her question is, what is your best quality or attitude that you are proud of? Perhaps in your startup journey, no?
No, definitely stubbornness. So that's why we named this.
Our topic.
yeah, that's why me and Greg named this, because we were kind of like what's the term? There's a term for it. I can't remember now. Because my dad's from England, so we have this term, something about the English bulldog or something. It's being really stubborn. So yeah, me and him were. We never got down at a certain point when we learned to take rejection. We might feel down at first, but then we always had that fire to just keep on going. And that's really how you take things. It is a big mental thing. I've been down before as well. But yeah, you just take some time, relax a little, get back to your own thing, and then keep on going. That's I think that's what one of my best traits. I think I if I believe in something, I don't like to leave it. I always get an itch every morning to get up and think about it and talk, contact Greg. What do we do next? Stuff like that. So yeah.
All right. Thank you for that, AJ. So from Jonathan in Facebook Live, shout out to PUP, Mulanay Branch, Quezon Province, BS Entrepreneurship, just like you, AJ.
Yay.
Maybe shout out to your fellow classmates as well in Siliman or your fellow incubatees.
Yeah. Hey guys. Entrep 2021, fourth year. Hi guys, if you're here.
I'm sure they are watching now.
Yeah.
All right. So with that, AJ, allow us to present our certificate of appreciation to you, to our speaker, Alexander J. Wassel, from Double Up, for sharing your time, talent, and expertise as the resource speaker.
Thank you.
During the 2021 Startup Thursdays. Number 3, Fruits of Stubbornness webinar conducted by DICT Visayas Cluster 2 on June 17, 2021. This has still to be signed by our director, Mr. Frederick B.C. Amor. So AJ, maybe you have some last few words, final words to our viewers or to anyone that you should mention.
Okay. For the viewers, well, I think one more piece of advice I could say is no matter what the situation is, like the pandemic now, there's always a room for you to get out. It's never completely a bad thing in terms of business or a startup. That things can still thrive through situations like this. Look at Food Panda and stuff like that. They definitely thrive despite the whole pandemic situation. So don't let it be a threat to you completely. It can be, but there's always a way for you to thrive in it. Technically, be a cockroach is what I'm trying to say. That's how businesses work, or startups work, or ideas. They can be cockroaches, and they'll still go through, and they'll thrive in any situation. Yeah. I hope whoever is watching, teachers, students, everybody else, I hope my insight can give you something, because from I've noticed from my school anyway, there isn't much insight coming from the students. We're not as open. They tell everyone what we've been experiencing, what we might want more of in terms of the environment. And I also encourage students to do the same. Tell your school what you need, what you want, what you give advice. Because you're in it as well, not just the teachers. Your insight is just as good as anybody else's at school. Teachers also, like you said, encourage the students. Definitely, a little can go a long way for students. And who knows, you might be encouraging the next Jack Ma or something like that. You never know. So you don't miss out on the opportunity, because they will remember you for encouraging them. So don't skip out on that. To my girlfriend, hi Jessica, thanks for joining.
She said that you are really stubborn. AJ really is stubborn.
Yeah. Yeah, I just read it. Yeah, she knows. You know that, baby. Yeah, thanks for being here. I love you. You're a really great inspiration. It means a lot to me. And so yeah, like as for everyone, yeah, any inspiration from anyone. And if you're the one that has an opportunity to give inspiration to someone, do the same. It's best to be supportive rather than jealous of other people. That's how I found, because if you're supportive with other people, it makes you feel good, and it drives you more to help them, and then maybe even become them in a way, and be successful in a way. So yeah, that's another piece of advice. So yeah, that's all I would say. Thank you for inviting me to talk. I'll give I'll tell Greg that you thanks for me and Greg. And yeah, I can't wait if be invited again if ever that's possible. We'll be really happy to talk, and hopefully Greg can be there next time. Thank you everyone for joining. Thank you.
No, we should be the one thanking you, AJ, no, for inspiring us, for inspiring our viewers. I also got inspired by your words. I am also a teacher myself.
Oh,
I teach in one of the universities there in Dumaguete, no?
Yeah.
Online. So we just finished our semester, and I got some words of inspiration from you to to also support my students. So it's really good. This afternoon is a really good and very relatable session, no?
Okay, thank you.
Especially most of our participants are teachers and students. So thanks a lot. Maybe next time with Greg.
Yeah, oh definitely.
Maybe next time.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, AJ, once
Thank you,
again.
everyone.
Till next time.
Thank you.
All right, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. We just capped off our Startup Thursdays number 3 webinar, and so we'd like to acknowledge and we'd like to thank our the people behind the success of our webinar this afternoon. Our speakers, Mr. Greg Balmeo and Mr. Alexander J. Wassel, for of course sharing to us their startup journey. No, even if they are still students, but they are able to make it in terms of the startup ecosystem. So also to our OIC Regional Director, Mr. Frederick Amores, for the undying support that he gives us. This is already our 3rd Startup Thursdays, for the whole month of June, and so we are happy and we are glad that we have his support. Then also, AJ has been mentioning her name, Mrs. Janice Antoinette Forster, and Mr. Lawrence de la Peña of Synergy from Silliman University, Technology Business Innovation. AJ is correct when she said that Ma'am Janice Forster has a lot of connections. I actually contacted her. For the speakers this afternoon, and so Ma'am Janice actually led me to you, AJ, and to other speakers for our startup days.
She told us and asked if we wanted to talk.
So please also extend our regards to Ma'am Janice and Greg. All right.
I will, sir.
Thank you. So also to DICT Central Office, IIDB, and ISCD for of course supporting us for our Startup Thursdays webinar series and for the marketing and promotions that we received from ISCD. So thank you, the ICT Central Office. Of course, to our focal for the ICT Industry Development Bureau, or IIDB, who is the host for this webinar, Ms. Claire Fernandez, who is in Tacloban right now, but very supportive of our endeavors. Thank you, Ms. Claire. Also to Mike, he's just silently working here, but he is the one streaming live our session this afternoon. And yours truly, your moderator for this afternoon. I am Joshua Lizardomen. Thank you for bearing with us. We might have some early technical glitches, but you still stayed with us until now. So thank you very much, our dear viewers, our participants. This is, as I have mentioned, this is our 3rd Startup Thursdays for the whole month of June as we celebrate the National ICT Month. So I hope we still see each other next Thursday for our last session or our last episode for Startup Thursdays. It will be delivered by Mr. Nel Leggo. He is the founder of Peddler with his topic, The Whys of Startups Solving Real Life Problems. So same time, same channel, same Facebook page at the ICT FOO VC2 for the last session next week. And so I know our participants are also, after this, here is our code of the day, ladies and gentlemen. You have to copy everything that you see flashed in our screen because you need this so that you can go on with your evaluation form. So no evaluation form submitted, no digital certificate. So please also take note, this is case sensitive. If you see some letters or characters that are on capital, then you have to make it on capital. If you see a character there, then you have to include that. right? So you can screen grab this, you can take note of this, memorize this, as long as you capture this code of the day. Because I'm gonna display next our evaluation form or link. If you came in earlier, mga early birds, you already captured this, but yeah, you can make use of your devices that can read QR codes, para it would be easier. So that's it. Thank you once again to our participants for bearing with us and for joining us. No, I think most of our participants are students and teachers. And also once again to our speaker for this afternoon, Mr. AJ Wassel. Until next time, maybe with Greg to share your startup journey. So
Exactly.
until here.
Okay, thank you very much.